James are on the injury report. Is there anyone else we need to know about? Steph and James on the injury report. Anyone else we need to know about? Well, no, I mean, like anything else. Okay. Well, with that in mind, knowing that you have as healthy as you have been in a while, what are you looking for in these games, continuity-wise, building some momentum ahead of the playoffs?
Still looking for defense. You know, that's the whole thing is, can we be the team we were the first few months of the season? And I think we can, but we've been searching for that in recent weeks without much success. So that's the main thing I'm looking for is just the energy and the continuity. You know, watching the earlier Phoenix games to prepare for this one. You know, we haven't seen them in a while, obviously, but watching those 3 games, it's a different team. We look like a different team defensively. And good news is we know we have it in us because we watched it for, you know, the first 40, 50 games of the year. But the challenge is getting back to being that team. So that's the goal.
Defense-wise, Andre talked a lot about fundamentals and just on-ball pressure. Is it really kind of come down to fundamentals, or is it anything bigger than that?
It's all tied together. You know, there's always fundamentals involved, but it's 5 guys playing with great energy and alertness and covering up for each other. And so a lot of times, you know, if things break down, it's maybe there's a couple fundamental things that you don't do well, but then there's a, you know, lack of covering up for one another. And then, you know, you break down. There could be a bunch of turnovers on offense that lead to a bunch of fast break points and the game kind of swings momentum wise. So all of those things can factor in, but it was just very interesting watching the games from earlier in the season when we looked quite a bit different. So again, that's the challenge. That's the goal.
Statistically, this is maybe Steph's best defensive year. When you remove him and then you look at the old tapes where he is playing, do maybe even more emphasis on how good he's been even on the ball this season?
I love it. There's going to be an article about we missed Steph's defense.
I'm not sure there is. No guarantees.
He's had a great defensive season for sure. You know, Draymond is at the center of all that too. And obviously he's the engine behind our defense. But those earlier games, you know, we had a lot of guys playing at a high level with great energy and enthusiasm and alertness at that end of the floor. And you know, Steph was among them, but, you know, like I said, so was Draymond, so was Gary, Loon, Otto, you name it. So we've strayed from that. And we're searching for ways to find that team again.
Is Kuminga still going to be that 5th starter?
I am not going to reveal my starters tonight. So, yeah.
What have you thought about Phoenix this season? I think they're sitting here now like 61-14, something like that.
Phenomenal. The continuity that they have, you know, from the last couple of years, but particularly, you know, once they added Chris last season, what they've built is so strong that they're able to sustain Chris's loss, you know, for however many games that was, 15 games or whatever, and still win at such a high level. It shows you how strong their foundation is. What a great job Monty has done. What a great system they have in place, and what a great two-way team they are. They play both ends, and you know, they really understand their roles and play hard and play together. They're really impressive.
What Jordan can do on the court kind of speaks for itself at this point, but what kind of presence is he in the locker room?
Jordan? Yeah. Well, he's still a young guy, but he's really gained a lot of confidence here the last couple of years. And so that's allowed him to take on a little bit more of a leadership role, particularly with his young teammates. And it's always an interesting dynamic to watch that happen. You know, the young leading the young. Jordan's having to navigate that. And it's good for him. It's good for him. It's good for our team. Because part of becoming a really good player and a key player is what happens in the locker room and not just on the court. And so he's learning from some of the best with Steph and Andre and Draymond and Clay. And so it's a good environment for which, he can draw from and to learn how to be a leader.
Recording stopped.
When you mentioned the film sessions from those previous Phoenix games earlier in the season, when you're watching those with the team, do you say, "Hey, this is what it looked like when 5 guys were playing good defense together, and the energy," and say, "We're capable of this again, and here's how it looked"? Do you go over that?
Were you in our meeting this morning? I think you were there.
I wish I was. I'd like to go to one, but.
Yeah, sorry, I don't think we're going to allow that, but you pretty much nailed exactly what happened this morning. So that's
Really?
how. Yeah,
Okay.
we watched the film and we said, look at this.
This is how it looks.
This is our team right here.
Okay.
Check with Raymond. Raymond might allow you into a team meeting. I don't know.
No, I would love it if you wanted a fly on the wall who wouldn't say a word from what it. Okay.
Steve, what's the toughest part for you and your staff when you point out what's going wrong, whether it be video or individually, and you see the mistakes repeated? What's your recourse when you point it out and it still happens?
Point it out again. Maybe get kicked out of a game. There's a few options, but the only option for the team is to correct it, and that's
Recording
what we're
in progress.
to lead them to do. And I think I can make excuses, but they don't really matter. Just Draymond being out and Steph being out, not having guys together, all that stuff does matter. It factors in, I should say, but it doesn't matter. Nobody cares, and at the end of the year, you're either playing well or you're not. And if you're not playing well, there's no asterisk that says, well, they had a lot of injuries. So it was a tough finish for them, because you either play well or you don't. And we have to get to that point.
And what do you do? Draymond the other night called himself out. When you have a guy like Draymond who normally calls himself out or other guys out, when he's saying, I'm bad, what does that do for the other guys, you think, when he calls himself out?
I think it's great. I think he's holding himself accountable. There's a standard that we all need to reach. And he's displaying that. He's showing that firsthand. So I thought that was fantastic. The thing with Draymond is he's never had as far as I can remember, he's never had a mid-season injury that's kept him out of 2 months. You guys know Draymond. He's a rhythm player. He's a player who depends on conditioning, rhythm, force. So he's usually not great the first few days of training camp, and once the season starts and he's had a few weeks of practice and he's rolling, that's when he's at his best. And when he got hurt, he was having an all-star season. Like I said, watching those tapes from, earlier Phoenix game, it was incredible. But this is the first time he's really had a mid-season absence. So for a guy like him, 8 weeks off, especially with a back injury where you're limited in what you can do, finding that rhythm, finding that conditioning, finding that extra gear that he needs, to be able to rotate quick enough to get to the spot, to be able to elevate enough to go vertical and block the shot, to be able to rotate and make the steal. All the plays that you see him make, they are all 100% dependent on his physical ability to make those plays. And he's not there yet, and he admits that. I know that he's going to get there, and I know he's working towards that. And I'm really confident that as that happens, the team's performance will come with him.
To follow up on that. Thanks. To follow up on that, when this is the first time Draymond has had a mid-season interruption, how do you see him dealing with his mind moving at one speed, but his body not quite there yet?
Well, he's frustrated. He's such a competitor. He's such a winner. He said it the other night. He's not used to not being a factor. I've been around a lot of great teams and great players, and Draymond is right near the top in terms of his individual impact on winning. I mean, you can just feel it when he's on his game. The impact he makes in determining the outcome of the game. It's who he is. It's hard to quantify what Draymond does because it's so unique, but so much of it is based on his force, of his will, his desire. And he said it himself. He's not used to, not being a determining factor in us winning a game. And so he's extremely frustrated, and, he's working through that.
Hey, Steve, on that note, with all the things you mentioned about Draymond, has Rick offered any sort of guidance of how much longer to expect, how long this process will be before, he's back in the swing of things?
No, they just, they work every day. Draymond's working every day. It's a matter of just playing time and games. And you can't predict that kind of stuff, but I have great faith that, he's gonna find it here. He just needs the reps.
Have you seen Steph much since you've been back?
Talked to him today. Yeah.
What is he on the court yet?
He's doing a lot of stuff with Rick. Not a lot of basketball stuff yet. He's doing his rehab. He's been in the pool and the treadmill in the pool, and a lot of stuff in the weight room, but not on court stuff yet.
I feel like it's trending.
Yeah, trending in a good direction. Yeah.
You guys have understandably not focused on seeding, but as you are trying to get everybody back and you look at the matchups and you're looking at possibly not having home games 1 and 2 in the first round, how much of attention does that give to you? At some point, you got to hold on to a seed here.
Well, yeah, I mean, I look at it every day and I look at the scores and see how everybody else is doing, but I don't spend a lot of time worrying about, where we're going to be seated or where we're playing. Do we have home court advantage? Because all that stuff is just a byproduct of how we're playing here the next couple of weeks. So our whole focus is what can we do to play better and see how it shakes out. Thanks.